In December 2011, the NBA voided a trade, not reversed, not renegotiated. Voided. In 31 years of professional basketball, it has happened exactly once. And the reason it happened, the reason it had to happen, has been sitting in plain sight the entire time.
They mentioned trade rumors or trade discussions. At the end of the day, you just gotta do your job. You can only control so much.
December 2011, the NBA lockout has just ended. Teams have 6 days to make trades before the season starts.
It's a win-win. Owners and players are seeing eye to eye, and business is back to usual for South Florida.
That right now we are happy. Everybody's happy because we're gonna take it working more right now.
A lot of people can't win. We have a hit the game. A lot of people. So busy right here.
The New Orleans Hornets and the Los Angeles Lakers agree on a deal. Chris Paul, the best point guard in basketball, goes to Los Angeles. In exchange, New Orleans receives Kevin Martin, Luis Scola, Lamar Odom, Goran Dragic, and a 2012 first-round pick. That is 4 NBA-caliber players and a draft asset. For a team rebuilding from zero, that is a real return. The Hornets general manager, Dell Demps, has been working on this trade for days. He agrees to it. Within 1 hour, David Stern calls the Hornets. The trade is dead.
I didn't veto anything. Acting on behalf of the owners, as the owners' rep, New Orleans decided not to make the trade.
Well, whose decision was it to stop the trade?
No, not to stop. No, not to stop. There's no superstar that gets traded in this league unless the owner says go ahead with it. And in the case of New Orleans.
Here's what David Stern was in December 2011. He was the NBA commissioner. He was the acting president of basketball operations for the New Orleans Hornets. Because the NBA, the league itself, owned the New Orleans Hornets. The league had purchased the franchise from George Shinn in December 2010 for an estimated $318 million. Shinn was broke.
It's hard to explain. I've referred to the team as being like a child, and it's tough. It's really been tough for me to try to come back. I don't know emotionally how I could handle it right now.
The NBA stepped in to keep the franchise in New Orleans while it found a new owner. That is the public explanation. Here is what that actually means. The NBA became a seller. It owned an asset worth $318 million and needed to maximize its return before transferring ownership. And in December 2011, while it was actively trying to sell that asset, it was also the entity controlling whether that asset could trade its best player. This is not a conspiracy. This is math. A team with Chris Paul is worth more than a team without him. The NBA, as owner, had a financial interest in keeping Chris Paul in New Orleans. David Stern, as commissioner, had the authority to stop the trade. He used both.
In effect, then, you said the trade is not going to go through.
I said that New Orleans would not make the trade that had been proposed to them.
And was that the right move to make?
You buy a ticket and see. We'll see how it works out.
On the same day Stern voided the trade, NBA owners had gathered in New York to ratify a new collective bargaining agreement, the one designed, in their words, to create competitive balance. Dan Gilbert, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, sent an email to David Stern, an email obtained by Yahoo Sports, the New York Times, and the Cleveland Plain Dealer. He called the proposed deal, the one New Orleans had agreed to, a travesty. He urged Stern to put it to a vote of, quote, the 29 owners of the Hornets, referring to the rest of the league's teams, who each had a financial stake in the NBA-owned franchise. 29 other owners, 29 other entities with a financial interest in how the league's asset was managed. The NBA's official spokesman said the owners didn't kill the trade. Stern did alone. For basketball reasons.
The trade was happening while everybody is in this room. So teams felt like, how is that possible? We didn't get a chance to make a trade for Chris Paul. And so they all attacked the league and said, this wasn't fair. We didn't all get a chance to
But he wasn't going to you guys, so it doesn't matter. But go
It-
ahead.
but it-
Right. I understand what they're saying.
Like David Stern didn't reject the trade as commissioner. He rejected the trade as governor of the New Orleans team, right?
6 days later, Chris Paul was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Norman, it's such a cliche, but for the Hornets, the third time was a charm. After 2 failed attempts to trade superstar Chris Paul to LA, the Hornets finally succeeded. So one of the greatest athletes to ever represent New Orleans is officially a member of the Los Angeles Clippers.
The Hornets received Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman, Al-Farouq Aminu, and an unprotected 2012 first-round pick. Versus what the Lakers had offered. You can evaluate those 2 packages. BTB is not going to tell you which is better. What we will do is tell you this. Tom Benson, owner of the New Orleans Saints, purchased the Hornets from the NBA in April 2012 for $338 million.
Tom Benson will be the new owner of the New Orleans Hornets. All I can say is that if we were looking for the perfect owner, given what Tom has done in New Orleans and given his success with the Saints, we couldn't have done better. We would have had to invent him if he didn't exist.
The NBA bought the franchise for $318 million. The NBA sold it for $338 million. 14 years later, that franchise, now called the New Orleans Pelicans, is valued at $3.8 billion. The city of New Orleans never got a dynasty. The league got its money back. And the only trade ever voided in NBA history was voided by the man who was simultaneously the commissioner of the league and the acting president of the team making the trade.
League said no. What happened was a few of the owners for other teams, they said we just came out of the lockout, right? We just did a new CBA, and they said it was all about competitive balance. So they said if I went to the Lakers, it wasn't going to be the competitive balance. Now look at the league.
This calculation, the structural conflict between league ownership and competitive governance, has never appeared in a video before now. Not because it was hidden, because no one ran the numbers. In '94, the Orlando Magic made a decision about one contract. They had Shaquille O'Neal, they had Penny Hardaway, and then they paid Penny $70 million. The Lakers offered Shaq $121 million. Orlando offered $80 million. There was a mechanism that could have paid both. They didn't use it. The dynasty ended before it started. That mechanism has a name. The Larry Bird exception existed in 1994. Orlando chose not to invoke it. That decision cost the franchise $41 million and a dynasty. The document is in episode 1.